I watched the Super Bowl last night, not because I like the Philadelphia Eagles, not even because I like the Kansas City Chiefs and Giga Chad Catholic Harrison Butker in particular. I watched it to see how much the Trump election had changed the pop culture. I watched it to see if even the most left-wing professional male sports league would bend the knee, not to George Floyd, but to the majority of Americans who rejected leftism in November. And what did I find? A handful, at most, of woke ads. An apparently patriotic halftime show. An attack on the very notion of pride. Normal military ads. An ovation for President Trump and boos for Taylor Swift. We're back. I'm Michael Knowles. This is the Michael Knowles Show. Kanye West is tweeting. We will get to the tweets. He also apparently had a Super Bowl ad in a couple of media markets that is really funny. It's not as dark. It's not good, but it's fairly funny. We'll get to that in just a moment. First, I want to tell you about Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Knowles. Balance of Nature fruits and veggies is the most convenient way to get whole fruits and vegetables daily, especially if you've focused on creating a healthier, happier lifestyle. Nature is pretty good at giving us the nutrients we need through fruits and vegetables. So Balance of Nature takes fruits and veggies, freeze dries them, turns them into a powder, and then puts them into a capsule. You take your fruit and veggie capsules every day, then your body knows what to do with them. Balance of Nature is just one ingredient of a balanced lifestyle, has no intention to replace a healthy diet, exercise, sleep, or any other healthy habits. It is intended to be used in concert with other healthy habits. I absolutely adore Balance of Nature, especially when I'm on the road, as I am a lot. I was just in California for a night a couple days ago. It is really, really great to be able to have Balance of Nature, and even if you're not eating the best, you know you're getting your fruits and veggies. Balanceofnature.com, use promo code Knowles, KNWLES, for 35% off your first order as a preferred customer, plus get a free bottle of fiber and spice. Balanceofnature.com, promo code Knowles. Okay, let's just start with the bad ads. There were a handful of Here is one fairly woke ad from the Super Bowl.
I hate you because we're from different neighborhoods.
I hate you because you look different.
I hate you because I don't understand you.
I hate you because people I know hate you.
I hate you because I think you hate me.
Because I need someone to blame.
Because you talk different.
Because you act different.
Because you're just different.
The reasons for hate are as stupid as they sound.
And I hate that things are so bad that we have to do a commercial about it.
Me too.
Stand up to all hate. Okay, so that was an ad from the Foundation to Combat Anti-Semitism, even though it was this totally vague, generic ad. So it was kind of an annoying ad because the insinuation is that Americans are hateful and bigoted and racist and this and that and the other thing. And I just think we're kind of past that. We don't need those ads anymore. But I guess an improvement of that kind of ad over where the NFL has been for the past 5 years is that it was just vaguely promoting people not being mean to each other. It wasn't saying America's a white supremacist nation and we murdered George Floyd and we got to take a knee with Colin Kaepernick because the black man's been kept down. It wasn't that kind of thing. It was just, hey, let's be nice to each other. Okay. Annoying, a little woke, a little lib, but overall, an improvement. Now, the most woke ad came from Nike. This ad, which pitted a young woman of color against evil white jocks in the game of football.
Hey, Chad, check out the new girl.
Ew, what is she wearing?
Girls don't play football.
They do where I'm from.
Get a load of this one. Think fast!
You think fast. Right in the Jimmy Johnson.
This ain't over.
We just getting started, Chad.
Get the flag!
Let's go, let's go! Get down, get down. Come on, where is it? There you go. Yeah.
Ooh, little girl bad.
Enough! Let's settle this once and for all. Your best guy?
Girl.
Whatever. Versus our best guy. The Brad.
Oh, not the Brad. I'm Brad.
I can read.
There you go. You got folded up, Brad. Get her. Okay. That's what I'm talking about.
So the girl, she's really good at football, and all the dudes are really bad at football. So the antagonists are two white guys, two like 1980s movie looking white guys, Chad and Brad. The protagonist is a young woman of color, young black woman, I guess. There are a few other people of various ethnic backgrounds here, but that's basically the setup. And then the good guy cheering from the sidelines is a black guy who looks like Shaft or something. So classic, modern, politically correct, woke setup. Black people good, white people bad, women good, men bad. Women, even putting forward the notion that women can beat men in football, that will never happen ever, not even one time, under any circumstances. Any woman, any man, can't happen. So that was annoying. It's Nike, though. C'est la vie. What are you going to do? It was a comprehensively woke ad. Some said, they said, well, look, at least Nike had another ad defending women in sports. They say, well, at least they're defending women in sports, meaning they're not promoting transgenderism in sports. So in that way, maybe it's a win for the right. But I don't really buy that, because this commercial was implicitly advancing the trans ideology by pretending that women could beat men at football, which will never happen. So that was annoying. That was a total loser. However, the fact that I'm only pointing to those two commercials out of, what were there, 1 billion commercials last night? There were a lot of commercial breaks during the Super Bowl. The rest of them were fine. Politically speaking, ideologically, they were great. They weren't that good as a matter of creativity and entertainment. The left in Hollywood doesn't know how to make compelling ads that aren't just didactic and ideological anymore. However, they were not left-wing. When I think of this Harrison Ford commercial, Harrison Ford did a commercial for Jeep, which was actually a good commercial. It was well made, and it took a direct shot at the left.
Freedom is yes or no or maybe. Freedom is for everybody, but it isn't free. It's earned. There are real heroes in the world, but not the ones in the movies. Real heroes are humble. They're not driven by pride. Pride is a terrible driver.
You catch that? You catch that little bit there right at the end? It says these guys, the real heroes, aren't Hollywood celebrities. They're military service members. Okay, so first, right off the bat, wow, okay, stop listening to the leftist Hollywood celebrities, because the real heroes are the much more conservative members of the military. But then he says, and they're driven by humility. They're not driven by pride. Pride is the slogan of the left. They're about to have a whole month for pride. And in case you missed it, he doubles down on it right there in the end. He says, pride is a terrible driver. That's not accidental. Not one word of these $8 million each Super Bowl commercials is accidental. Okay, these are all focus group tested. They've been run through a bunch of producers. This is very intentional. And what Jeep is signaling here is, hey, we recognize that leftism, liberalism, wokeism are dead. They are not cool. The American people have turned against it. The majority of the American people have turned against it. Thanks to this election, we now know that. Well, we ain't for it. We support the military, not Hollywood. We support normal stuff, not pride. We support, buy our cars. We're normal. Hey, you guys are normal. We're normal. All the other guys might be woke and crazy, but we're normal. It was a beautiful ad. There was even another ad. I can't find it. I was watching it on Tubi, so I don't know which media market this ad was airing in, if it wasn't national. It was a Navy ad. And the Navy ad just featured a normal-looking guy. He's a white guy even, which is, these days, it's very politically incorrect. He was just a muscular-looking white guy. He said, it was reminiscent of the old be all that you can be Army ads. And they said, hey, you want to join the Navy? You can find your purpose. It's really great. Join the Navy. I thought, wow, we must be on the brink of World War III, because back when everything was peaceful, we had military recruitment ads that had like Latina, Muslim, pygmy lesbians talking about how great it is that her lesbian parents, brought her to pride parades, and that's why she joined the CIA. I'm not even really exaggerating that much about that CIA commercial. And now the commercials are, hey, are you a guy that looks like most military service members? Yeah, you should join the military. And maybe it's because we're on the brink of World War III, or maybe it's because we've had a seismic domestic political shift here. You even saw it with the radical left-wing artist, so-called, who played the halftime show. We'll get to that in one moment. First, I want to tell you about Home Title Lock. Go to HomeTitleLock.com, use promo code Knowles25. Did you know that American homeowners have over $32 trillion in equity? That's a lot of scratch. Criminals are targeting that equity with a growing scam the FBI calls house stealing. Scammers can transfer your title out of your name using a one-page document they file at the county. Then, they can take out loans against it or even sell it behind your back. And the most concerning part is, you won't find out about it until collection or foreclosure notices start arriving in your mailbox, leaving you with a financial and legal nightmare. The best way to protect your equity is with Home Title Lock's exclusive $1 million triple lock protection. This service offers 24/7 monitoring, urgent alerts, and if fraud should occur, their U.S.-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and restore your title. Good news is, we've partnered with Home Title Lock to offer you all 25% off their services. Go to HomeTitleLock.com, use promo code Knowles25 to save 25%, and you'll also get a free title history report to ensure you're not already a victim. Make sure you check out the $1 million triple lock protection details when you get there. Link below, that's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Knowles25. The halftime show featured Samuel L. Jackson as a kind of MC dressed up as Uncle Sam. He did a great job. And then some guy named Kendrick Lamar, who I don't know anything about. I've heard the name before. I was not able to understand basically a single word that he said during his rap performance in the halftime show. It was complete gibberish, and I'm not sure he was even attempting to speak the English language. However, the aesthetics of it looked generally pretty good, because while the performance was gibberish, it was at least vaguely patriotic.
It's the great American game.
My Gemini twin back powering up. No more handshakes and hugs. The energy only circulate through us. Everybody must be judged. But this time, God only favoring us. 20 years in, still got that pen dedicated to bare hard truth. Etiquette speak with a vigilant tongue. Predicate this time is I'm carrying heavier hearts right now. Like a power lift with Olympians too. Now I'm counting this. Parmesan with my account to live. Matter of fact, I'm down in this. Do say with my boobay tastes like Kool-Aid for the analyst. Girl, I can buy you the world with my pay stub. I know it's good once you sit it on my taste.
All right, man, I'll take it. I'll take it. For those of you who are just listening, this guy Kendrick Lamar was standing there amid a big human American flag. He's wearing red, white, and blue. The fact that I couldn't understand what he was saying is probably actually a good thing, because if he said anything that was leftist or anti-American or whatever, I totally missed it, as did everybody else. They're pretty good. I'll take it. Someone pointed out to me that this guy Kendrick Lamar is a huge left-winger, radically pro-abortion. When Roe v. Wade was overruled, he did some deeply sacrilegious performance where he pretended to be Christ and was advocating for murdering babies. And so I don't know. I don't know anything really about that. However, what I do know is, if that is who that guy is, the fact that his Super Bowl halftime show was just kind of generally patriotic and featured Sam Jackson as Uncle Sam, great. Even if his personal views are anti-American, contrary to the good, the true, and the beautiful, the fact that the culture has forced him to get with the program and make a pro-American halftime show. Great. I love it. I love it. And it was clear that there were cultural pressures to do that in the stadium because Trump was at the game yesterday. And when Trump stood up, when attention was called to his presence there, he got an ovation. There he is. Big round of applause. Now, when another prominent person was put on the big screen, they called attention to the number one Chiefs fan, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift got booed. She just looks there. She's like, wait, what? Are they booing me? I'm not even a huge Taylor hater. I know some people really dislike Taylor Swift. I feel perfectly lukewarm about her. However, she probably shouldn't have endorsed Kamala. I'll tell you that. If she didn't want to get booed at the stadium, she probably should not have endorsed Kamala. Okay. This was a major cultural shift. This is a new day. This is evidence that culture is downstream of politics. Okay. It's a symbiotic relationship, and cultural movements lead to certain political incidents and electoral changes, which in turn lead to more cultural shifts. However, had Trump not won in November, the commercials would have been way worse. The halftime show would have been way worse. Taylor wouldn't have been booed. There are consequences to electoral politics. Trump won in November, and all of corporate America just shifted. Okay, all of a sudden, oh, they like having Trump there. What an honor to have the president here. All of a sudden, the people who called him Hitler for now almost a decade look ridiculous because most Americans voted for this guy, and corporate America took note. Okay, now, speaking of the Trump administration, there's a big controversy that has occurred over the past few days. The controversy is that a member of Elon's DOGE team, the government efficiency department, he got caught making offensive posts to social media. This guy, I'm not talking about Big Balls. I'm talking about Big Balls' colleague, former colleague. Former and future colleague, I guess, because he got fired for making spicy, offensive posts online. One of which, notably, was normalize Indian hate. Just not, look, I really like Indians, but it's kind of a funny post to make. Normalize Indian hate. So it seems out of the blue. And he got fired for that. J.D. Vance, whose wife is Indian and whose children are half Indian, responded in this way. He said, "Here's my view. I obviously disagree with some of Elez's posts, but I don't think stupid social media activity should ruin a kid's life. We shouldn't reward journalists who try to destroy people, ever. So I say bring him back. If he's a bad dude or a terrible member of the team, fire him for that." Beautiful. It's also hard to imagine this kind of response from the vice president to a staffer being fired for, racist social media posts. It's hard to imagine that even 4 or 5 years ago. And JD says, let's not reward these journalists. They're digging up old social media posts from this kid. And, he posted spicily. No one's denying that. But I don't look, if he's bad for the job, then fire him for that. But we're going to fire him for making crude jokes on social media. I don't think so. Ro Khanna, who is a Democrat member of Congress, responds. He goes, "Are you going to tell him to apologize for saying normalize Indian hate before this rehire? Just asking for the sake of both of our kids." So he responds with the concern troll. Our kids are, because this guy working for this department in the federal government, because he made jokes about Indians on social media, our kids are in grave danger. And JD just came in with the smackdown. He said, "For the sake of both of our kids, grow up. Racist trolls on the internet, while offensive, don't threaten my kids. You know what does? A culture that denies grace to people who make mistakes. A culture that encourages congressmen to act like whiny children. This is good. He goes on. I cannot overstate how much I loathe this emotional blackmail pretending to be concerned. My kids, God willing, will be risk takers. They won't think constantly about whether a flippant comment or a wrong viewpoint will follow them around for the rest of their lives. They will tell stupid jokes. They will develop views that they later think are wrong or even gross. I made mistakes as a kid, and thank God I grew up in a culture that encouraged me to grow and learn and feel remorse when I screwed up and offer grace when others did. You disgust me. Oh man, JD is just killing it. Last week, we get the sitting vice president giving lectures on scholastic philosophy on television and then explicating them in Latin on Twitter. So already, wow. And now we get this kind of absolutely beautiful. So the media then have to ask, okay, well, hold on. Is JD getting a little out in front of his skis here? What does Trump think about? What does Trump think about rehiring the man who made offensive social media posts?
Part of this DOGE cost-cutting effort, one of the DOGE engineers was fired for some inappropriate posts. The vice president says, bring him back. What do you say?
I don't know about the particular thing, but if the vice president said that, did you say that? I'm with the vice president.
Oh, what a great answer. The whole thing is just so beautiful. What do we take away from this? We take away that it is a new day. This response would have been unthinkable even 5 years ago, even in the first Trump term. This kind of response, both from JD and from Trump, unthinkable. And then what does Trump say here in response to the question? He says, I don't really know anything about this. But wait, the vice president, do you really said that? Okay, I'm with him. I trust the vice president. So yeah, I'm with the vice president. This team is unified. This team is not going to be bullied by the left. Everyone makes naughty posts on the internet. Everyone, every single person has said something offensive on the internet. Even you. Even, I know we have professional left-wingers who watch my show to pull out all the best clips. Even you, Media Matters or Right Wing Watch or whichever group is watching right now, even you have made offensive posts on the internet that could ruin your life. And you got JD and now Trump saying, you know what? I don't think those should ruin your life. That is beautiful. That is a very healthy response. Now, speaking of health, I want to tell you about Lumen. Go to lumen.me/Knowles. There is a magnificent tool that I have that you can have also that will give you real-time insights into your metabolism through something as simple as your breath. It is called Lumen. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. I love it. I'm a little skeptical of some technology. I'm not always the earliest adapter. I love my Lumen. All I have to do is breathe into it first thing in the morning, and I can know exactly what is going on with my metabolism, whether I'm burning fats or carbs. Based on my measurements, Lumen then creates a personalized nutrition plan just for me. They can do it for you too. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals, so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. And Lumen will give you tips to keep you on top of your health game. If you are concerned about your body and staying in shape and being fit, this is a no-brainer. If you don't have Lumen already, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go to lumen.me/Knowles, KNWLAS. Get 20% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/Knowles, KNWLAS for 20% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. Now, speaking of naughty posts on the internet, I don't know if you've heard about this fella, Kanye West. He's been making a few such posts on the internet. He's back on Twitter. He is tweeting pretty much entirely in all caps, which is always a sign of self-control and serious thought. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but a handful of these posts are, well, for instance, in all caps, I'm a Nazi, or Hitler was so fresh. Or he had one, I think he deleted it, but it was about how Jews should be slaves and you have to enslave all the Jews. He had another one attacking his friend Dave Chappelle, which I thought was particularly crazy because Dave Chappelle did a joke on Saturday Night Live actually defending Kanye, but Kanye didn't understand that. And so he thought that Dave was making fun of him and went after him for it, even though Dave was clearly trying to help Kanye. In one of the posts, he called the JP Morgan CEO, Jamie Dimon, a Jew. Jamie Dimon is Greek. He's not Jewish. I believe he's Christian. And then he had one, beyond the Hitler stuff, he had one about how much he loves. I think he's actually had multiple posts about how much he loves. But in one of them, I guess this does tie in with the Jewish stuff. He says, I want to thank Jews for, I'm not being sarcastic. I love, which is believable because Kanye has previously admitted to having a addiction. And earlier he said that his addiction actually ruined his marriage and was a big factor in his divorce. He said, but Jesus is going to heal everything. And now he's very pro. Then he's been posting a lot of, so that's another reason why I'm not going to actually be showing any of the tweets. Happily, I've avoided most of them other than he posted some pictures of his wife naked because he took his wife to the Grammys and had her stripped down totally naked. Not great. And then I found out today, I didn't see it last night, but Kanye apparently took out a Super Bowl ad, not nationally, but in a couple of media markets. And this is the ad.
So what's up, guys? I spent like all the money for the commercial on these new teeth. So once again, I had to shoot it on the iPhone. Go to Yeezy.com.
Okay, go to Yeezy.com. A little bit of a low production value Super Bowl commercial, but it's all right, let's see. Let's go check it out. So you go to Yeezy.com. We have a little screen recording. Okay, let's go to Yeezy.com. That pulls up this site with just one little t-shirt up in the corner. And then it's the only thing on Yeezy. Good grief. The only thing on Yeezy.com is this tiny little thumbnail of a t-shirt in the upper left corner. And then you click on the thumbnail and it's just a white shirt with a black swastika on it. So that's not great. That's not great. What's going on here? What's going on with Kanye? I think it could be a few things. It could be that he just lost it after his divorce. I've seen this with friends of mine who've gotten divorced. They just kind of lose it. Usually it's temporary. With Kanye, it seems to be dragging on a little bit more, but guys who get divorced do lose their minds a little bit because it's your whole world just being exploded. So it could be that. Could be that Kanye's always been a little bit, shall we say, eccentric. You know, this is not a new thing. You remember in 2003 or 4, whenever it was, when he, after Hurricane Katrina, when Kanye went on TV, said George Bush doesn't care about black people. Then there was the Taylor Swift thing when he went up at the Grammys and took the microphone from her and said, hey, you know, I'll let you finish, Taylor, but Beyonce, the best album of all time. So he's always been a little out there. However, I have another theory of a contributing factor to Kanye's public breakdown. And it's his Jesus is King album. You remember some years ago, Kanye came out with this album, Jesus is King. And I don't like Kanye's music generally. I don't really like hip hop or rap or any of that stuff. However, I listened to the whole album and it was pretty good. There were some good bits. Actually, a friend of mine wrote the bridge on one of the songs. Actually, a friend of mine who's Jewish, even funnier, wrote the bridge on one of the songs, Water. We are water, like a newborn daughter. And it was a pretty nice album. And it was this big cultural shift. Wow, you've got one of the biggest pop culture figures making a modern day gospel album. I remember at the time, Kanye was saying during his recording sessions, nobody could be fornicating. He had these Sunday services, which were these kind of vaguely Christian kind of meetup groups. And they go out into the middle of a field somewhere. And it was a little out there, but there was something really beautiful about it. He apparently had this big conversion. And now this. Now he's, I mean, even putting the Hitler stuff aside, which is quite bad, even just the of it all, this way that he's degrading his wife, and he's posting all over Twitter, and he's kind of just delectating in his own vice and his addiction to say nothing about all the Hitler stuff. It reminds me that when people convert, I've just seen this happen. When people convert, it attracts the attention of principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places, okay? As St. Paul tells us in the letter to the Ephesians. When one converts, that can be, and often is, a very spiritually intense time and a very dangerous time. And especially if you're Kanye West, you're one of the biggest figures in the pop culture, and you are maybe causing people to think about religion again for the first time, maybe to turn to God, which I think he actually did with the Jesus is King album, that they're going to be the secularists and the agnostics and the atheists are going to tune me out right now, but it's just a fact, so you got to deal with it. The devil doesn't like that. Okay, the devil really doesn't like that, and he's going to redouble his efforts to grab you. And our Lord in the Gospels tells us about this. He says, when a guy gets his spiritual house in order and he cleans evil spirits out of his house, well, sometimes what's going to happen if he's not careful is that evil spirit is going to go around and he's going to get like 6 or 7 of his buddies, and then he's going to go right back into that cleanly swept house, and the guy is going to be worse off than he was in the first place, because now he's going to be even more brimming with diabolical forces. Okay, and our Lord tells us about the mustard seed that falls on bad ground and it's choked off and dies, or that blows away with the wind, or if it doesn't find good fertile ground, it's going to just disappear. That's what I fear is going on with Kanye. So anyway, if he listens to this segment, which he should, I hope he takes that to heart. Hope he takes that to mind. That would be good. The radical tweets, which frankly, I think that the Hitler tweets are more or less just a way to shock, because to say I love Hitler, as he did on Alex Jones, look, maybe he just truly hates the Jews. That might be part of it. But part of it also is that in the modern mythos, Hitler is understood as the embodiment of evil. So the most shocking thing you can possibly say is I love Hitler. And he's saying that, and he's getting a lot of attention for it. So he's achieving his end in that way. But there's a lot of darkness underneath all of that. And then to be posting, I don't know, and your wife naked and all, that's not good, bro. Not good. Watch out. You were on a good path for a while. If you've been pushed off that path, it's not too late to get back on the right one. Now, speaking of race relations, President Trump has just cut off all aid to South Africa. And he has done this because South Africa is targeting white people in the country and murdering them and robbing them. And you've got one of the major South African political leaders, who many expect to be the actual president of the country someday, Julius Malema, singing things like this.
Alliance shoot to kill Gaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa, pa. Attention.
Shoot to kill the Boer, which is just the white people in South Africa. Shoot to kill, shoot to kill. So that's not great. And President Trump is cutting off all aid to South Africa as a result. He said, quote, South Africa is confiscating land and treating certain classes of people, namely white people, very badly. It is a bad situation that the radical left media doesn't want to so much as mention. A massive human rights violation is happening for all to see. The United States won't stand for it. We will act. Also, because of this, I'll be cutting off all aid to South Africa until further notice. He's also prioritizing the resettlement of the Boa, of the Fama, of the Afrikaners, the white people there. More than 10,000 white South African farmers have expressed interest in relocating to the U.S. following this executive order. Some people are suggesting that the reason Trump is doing this actually has more to do with grand strategy than with South Africa in particular, because the U.S. supports the state of Israel. We have a close alliance with the state of Israel, and South Africa recently brought a genocide case against the state of Israel in the International Criminal Court. So some people are saying, oh, it's actually really just about the Israel thing. It's not about the farmers. The farmers have been targeted in Africa, South Africa for years and years now. However, I don't think that's really persuasive, because Trump is taking this on in the very earliest days of his second term. The second term going much harder, much more focused than the first term. So I don't really think that's true. In fact, I think the simpler explanation is that one of the most prominent guys in Trump's ear right now is a South African named Elon Musk. And so he's calling attention to this, and I think it's really, really good because I'm not opposed to any refugee resettlement. I think we just need to seriously rethink it because the refugee program has been exploited by the left to just import a bunch of people that they think are going to vote for them. So in this case, okay, 10,000 South African farmers who are being threatened with murder by some of the political leaders in the country. That seems like a pretty good thing to do. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Plus, when we take in the South African farmers as refugees, that will also turn the left against refugee resettlement generally. They'll probably try to stop them at the border. They'll probably try to sink their boats as they're coming over from South Africa. At the Daily Wire, we break the news that the corporate media won't touch. We bring you the facts. First, fast, and unfiltered. Our exclusive investigative journalism actually does what journalism is supposed to do, namely expose corruption, uncover the truth, and hold those behind it accountable. When you join Daily Wire Plus, you get ad-free, uncensored live daily shows where you can chat with fellow Daily Wire members and the show's team in real time. Plus, you get full access to our entire library of premium entertainment, including Am I Racist?, the #1 documentary of the decade, and the films and series that continue to reshape our culture. The fight for truth is happening right now. Become a member today, dailywire.com/subscribe. My favorite comment yesterday is from Annabelle Sabangan7565, who says, I'm from a country receiving aid from the U.S. I agree with your president. I don't and wouldn't whine about it. Your country and its citizens should come first. Make America great again. Heart. Well, and Nayib Bukele, actually, the leader of El Salvador, recently pointed out, he said, that aid isn't always such a great thing for the countries that receive it because USAID is just a way for the U.S. to use its soft power to control countries around the world. And when it's being used by a corrupt political elite, then often what it does is foments revolutions and upends the traditional ways of life that people want to practice in their own countries. So even just from the standpoint of the recipients, say, do you really want that aid? Comes with a lot of strings. Now, we are seeing a lot of follow-through with the Trump administration. In the first term, it was a little more scattered, and some of the staff members were just not that good. Some were good, but some were not that good. Here, you're seeing Trump tweets out, he says, or posts on Truth Social, says, we're going to cut off aid to South Africa. Marco Rubio says he will not attend the G20. Says, I will not attend the G20 in Johannesburg. South Africa is doing very bad things, expropriating private property, using G20 to promote solidarity, equality, and sustainability, in other words, DEI and climate change. My job is to advance America's national interests, not waste taxpayer money or coddle anti-Americanism. Love this. Love this. When Trump tweets, now in the second term, there is follow-through. Okay? This is why it was so important for Trump to threaten Colombia with the tariffs, threaten Canada and Mexico, be willing to follow through on it, actually levy tariffs on China. And those were all just kind of the amuse-bouche, I think, to the actual tariff program, which hasn't kicked in yet. This is why it's so important. Trump has to follow through on threats sometimes. That's the only way that you can have credibility. It's like in poker. You can't just bluff all the time. Sometimes you really have to have the royal flush. Speaking of executive actions, President Trump is killing the penny. He's killing the penny. You know the penny? Like your pennies in your pocket. You probably don't have any because no one has change anymore or even cash. Well, the problem with the penny is it costs more to produce than it's actually worth. And Trump says, quote, for far too long, the United States has minted pennies, which literally cost us more than 2 cents. This is so wasteful. I've instructed my Secretary of the U.S. Treasury to stop producing new pennies. Let's rip the waste out of our great nation's budget, even if it's a penny at a time. This is also important symbolically. It'll save a little bit of money, but symbolically it's important because of some good old advice that my godmother used to give me, which is that you got to save pennies to spend dollars. Back during the Tea Party, we were told the only way to actually fix the federal budget problems, the only way to tackle deficits and the national debt was to reform entitlements. That is to say, cut Social Security and Medicare. That's the lion's share of the federal budget. It's the only way to fix it. That was very unpopular, and Republicans lost because they ran on cutting entitlements. When Trump ran in 2016, he upended that recent GOP orthodoxy, and he said, I will not touch entitlements. I will not touch your Social Security or your Medicare. That was more successful, okay? So now, how are you going to deal with debt and deficits? You're going to do things like DOGE. You're going to do things like end pennies. And the question is, can these guys, can Elon in particular, cut enough waste and bloat in the federal government to begin to make a dent into the fiscal problem? And if you had asked me 6 months ago, I would have said, probably not. And it still remains to be seen because judges are trying to stop DOGE right now and trying to throw wrenches into Trump's plans. However, Elon seems to be cutting a lot. And he has to. Because if you have this fiscal catastrophe waiting for you, actually already kind of occurring because our debt is something like 125% of GDP. If you've got this fiscal problem right there, so close to you, and you're not going to take on the easiest way to fix the debt, the easiest way technically, though the hardest way politically, then you've got to do something elsewhere. And I guess the second best option is to do stuff like this. But if you save pennies, you might be able to spend dollars. Now, another historic executive order. President Trump just signed a proclamation while flying over a certain body of water to the south of the United States. Gulf of Mexico done with. Gulf of America is here.
Air Force One is currently in international waters, for the first time in history, flying over the recently renamed Gulf of America. Please enjoy the flight, and we are now about to head westbound to Super Bowl 59.
Wow, yeah. He did that well. That's a good... Make America great again, right? That's what we care about. Okay, here we go. So this is a famous pen now.
This is a famous pen now because it's the Gulf of America pen. It's that easy. I remember when Trump said he was going to rename the Gulf of Mexico, people said, "How you can't just do that?" No, you can. We can do things. We're a big act, okay? We can just rename it if we want. And you know the libs are going to keep calling this the Gulf of Mexico, which is a political masterstroke from Trump. Because the libs are then going to put themselves in a position favoring Mexico and opposing America. You know they're not going to call it the Gulf of America because they hate Trump so much, and they hate America, but they're, at the very least, because they hate Trump. It's actually the Gulf of Mexico, you know, and it's actually been named that for as many years. Okay, well, now Trump just put you in a position where you're taking the side of Mexico against the side of America. Great. Cool. Love it. This is just like Trump did this with plastic straws. Trump also has an executive order now, and he says he's going to bring back plastic straws. He goes, I'll be signing an executive order next week, ending the ridiculous Biden push for paper straws, which don't work. Back to plastic. This is another political masterstroke. One, because Trump is signaling there is no issue too small, no issue too seemingly trivial for him to take on. He's going to fix everything. He's going to pay attention to the details because it's sometimes in the details that the rot begins. And because he's going to now make the libs defend paper straws. But everyone hates paper straws. Some of the biggest libs in the country hate paper straws because they just turn to pulp and you can't actually drink your iced tea or your Diet Coke or whatever. They're awful. So this is, some people say it's an 80-20 political issue. I think it's like a 90-10 political issue. And Trump is forcing the libs to take the side that only 10% agrees with. Beautiful stuff. The libs are so furious about this. They're saying, because they have a distorted view of what the American public wants, they're saying that this is not the Trump that the people elected. Ben Rhodes, who was an Obama speechwriter, he ended up on the national security team. He has this guest essay in the New York Times. This isn't the Donald Trump America elected. This isn't it. We don't want this. We don't want the Trump who's cutting the government, USAID, and expanding America's interests. I'm not going to read the whole piece. You can read it yourself if you want. There's no reason to. You get the thesis in the headline. This isn't the Donald Trump America elected. Well, I have another article here from CBS News, not exactly the most right-wing outlet. Says, CBS News poll, Trump has positive approval amid energetic opening weeks, seen as doing what he promised. It comes out, I think, the same day. Is it the same day as? But yeah, it is the same day as Ben Rhodes' stupid column in the New York Times. You get actual data. It says Ben Rhodes is totally wrong. This is exactly the Trump America elected. If you go down in the article, it says, with most describing him as tough, energetic, focused, and effective, and as doing what he'd promised during his campaign. That's the key there. Doing what he promised, that means it's the Trump America elected. President Trump has started his term with net positive marks from Americans overall, 53% approval. His deportation policy, one of the most controversial, finds majority approval overall, just as most voters said they wanted during the campaign, and that extends to sending troops to the border too. Many say he's doing more than they expected, and so that part you could say, well, that's not the Trump America voted for, except, CBS goes on, of those who say this, most like what they see. Very few think he's doing less. A large majority say he's doing what he said he would, whether they approve of him or not. 70% say that. I love this. This happened in the first term. You had a bunch of people who hated Trump from the beginning, even some on the right. He gets elected, and then they say, okay, well, this is actually what Trump means, and this is actually what he should do, and this is actually what the people want. It's like, bro, you have no idea what the people want. You thought that Trump was going to go down in flames. You, Democrats and Republicans, you thought he was going to go down in flames. You thought he was a total joke, and then he got elected. And this time, you got the same thing. Ben Rhodes, who's, as far as I can tell, never been right about anything, certainly wasn't right in this election. He goes, okay, well, actually, this is what Americans want from the Trump term. I'm going to trust Trump and the self-professed views of the American people over some washed-up former Obama flag. It is Music Monday, baby. The rest of the show continues now. You don't want to miss it. Become a member. Use code Knowles, K-N-O-W-L-E-S, at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans.